Guys, if you're like me, you love Star Wars, and you're a mega fan. Star Wars means so much to me, and basically more than half of the civilized world. It's easily the most iconic movie franchise of all time. Everyone's heard of Star Wars. I bet even Amish people know about it. And the ultimate symbol of the groundbreaking movie franchise is undoubtedly the lightsaber. Not only is it the most iconic weapon from any movie, but it's also probably the coolest. The lightsaber is a laser sword that can cut through any solid material and deflect incoming laser blast, and it can be used to combat other lightsabers. These powerful weapons are wielded by the ones powerful and skilled enough to brandish them. The Jedi Knights are the Sith Lords. Sith Lords and Jedi Knights are beings skilled with the knowledge of the Force, a supernatural energy field that binds the galaxy together and grants these brands of warriors powerful abilities such as telekinesis, clairvoyance, the ability to manipulate an enemy's mind, a heightened sense of their surroundings, amazing speed, and almost impeccable perception. Plus, these two category of space wizards have amazing agility, reflexes, and acrobatic skills, which adds to their competence on the battlefield. Like I said, not any schmo from space can use a lightsaber. So, today, we're going to count down the top 5 greatest lightsaber fights from the Star Wars movies. And just to be clear, to qualify as a lightsaber fight, both combatants have to be fighting each other with lightsabers. So, fights that feature weapons that can withstand blows from a lightsaber or blaster versus lightsaber battles don't count. And this is purely dedicated to the Star Wars movies, so Expanded Universe doesn't count. And unlike my many other list videos, this actually is in specific rank of what's, best to least best. But I'm not going to keep you any longer, so let's jump right into the list. Number 5, Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. The start of the countdown takes us to this powerful fight between master and apprentice. Anakin Skywalker has been seduced and corrupted by Chancellor Palpatine into joining the dark side. After he leads the clones to massacring and betraying the Jedi Order and taking over the Senate, Palpatine sends his new apprentice Darth Vader to the Mustafar system, a volcanic planet which honestly resembles one of the circles of hell. The two sole survivors of the Jedi Purge, Master Yoda and Obi-Wan, discover the truth and set out in the final hope to defend not only the freedom of the galaxy, but their way of life and religion, which has come under genocide. And the final confrontation between the two is the moment all Star Wars fans have waited for since the beginning. The original trilogy established Vader as an evil, unfeeling monster, more machine than man, who was trained by Obi-Wan. We know that Vader wasn't always evil, and some kind of physical transformation had to have happened to him to bring him from being a healthy man to an extremely damaged cyborg. And obviously, knowing what we know from the original, it was clear that the master and trainee had one grand fight between them. So the culmination of everything that ever was in Star Wars was leading to this moment, and it was so epic. At this point in the movie, Anakin is feeling ambivalent about joining the dark side. You could tell because under the hood he's crying, and he regrets the awful things he did. Padme, his wife, comes to see him, and she's worried. And after all the tension and emotional distress he's suffered throughout, Anakin pours his heart out to Padme about his insecurities and his ambition and what it's led him to do. She rejects him and leaves him heartbroken, only for him to see emerging from behind his wife, Obi-Wan, basically one of the few people he believes responsible for his self-imposed oppression. Thrown into a ballistic, sorrow-fueled rage, he kills his wife, believing she betrayed him for his master, and Obi-Wan delivers powerful dialogue leading to heated words. Finally, Vader makes the first move and pounces. Fueled by his anger and arrogance surrounding his new power, he relentlessly unleashes blow after blow as his master defends against him, using his superior knowledge and wisdom to keep a level head. The fight is epic and amazing, made all the more exciting by the amazing music by John Williams, aka the Emperor of Movie Music. The battle takes us through the command center and industrial zone of the volcanic power plant, and we see an emotionally charged battle between former friends. It's so clean and very flawless, and I love the use of martial arts and technical swordplay. The intensity between the two is great and almost unmatchable.
This is the end for you, my master.
It's amazing to see how the two styles of the warriors collide when in battle, as Anakin is more aggressive and offense-driven, and Kenobi is a defensive strategist. Not only was it really heart-pounding, but it was really sad, and for the first time, we actually see the emotional side of Jedi Master Obi-Wan. Jedi aren't supposed to feed off their emotion and are taught to bury them, but when Obi-Wan defeats Vader and leaves him in a crippled mess, we see what was once between the two old friends as Obi-Wan tears up and confesses how he loved Anakin and how what he just did and had to do took a toll on him.
You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you.
easy to forget that Jedi are humans too, and are subjected to the same emotional attachments normal people are. And it's even more sad how Anakin is still feeding off of his rage, screaming his hatred for his master. And this moment ushers in the new phase of Star Wars, the extinction of the Jedi and the rise of the Empire, and that always made me sad. Number 4, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon versus Darth Maul, The Phantom Menace. Honestly, Phantom Menace gets more abuse and bad press than it deserves. This was a great movie, but even if you can't agree with that, you can't deny that this is one of the best lightsaber duels in the franchise. What I love about this fight was, this was our first glimpse of how Jedi Knights fight in their prime. The original trilogy, the lightsaber fights didn't really portray lightsaber combat at its peak, since our hero wasn't really a Jedi, so we never get to see what a youthful Jedi and Sith battle would look like, and I love how this fight was not just amazing swordplay, but it featured really cool martial arts that made the fight all the more heart-pounding. Not only is it reminiscent of like samurai gracefully battling, but the music that accompanies it makes the viewing experience more sublime. And again, as usual, the surroundings of the combatants play into the excitement of the fight so much more. I love how our heroes are battling it out in the thin catwalks and through the energy source of the Naboo planet. And this fight arguably had the most influence of the plot than any other Star Wars fight, because the outcome shaped our characters forever. Our main protagonist, Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn, dies at the hands of Maul, and had he not died, Jinn most likely would have been the master of Anakin Skywalker, and that could have played out so much differently, and maybe he wouldn't have turned into Darth Vader. And Obi-Wan, had he not killed Darth Maul, yes, he killed Darth Maul. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what the extended universe says. It says in the screenplay that George Lucas wrote, it states very clearly, Darth Maul died. Sorry for that tangent, but I have to say that. But anyway, had Obi-Wan not killed Darth Maul, he wouldn't have been promoted to Jedi Master. And not only that, but given that he watched his master being killed in front of him, this forced Obi-Wan to step up, not only against his opponent, but as a Jedi, and it made him face a huge destiny. Not only that, but it was interesting to see the character's combat style in the fight. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon seem to be almost in sync, and can read each other's actions while fighting as one. Like when Obi-Wan psyched out Maul, and Jinn goes in for the blow. And we see that Darth Maul is a really aggressive fighter and striker, seeing how he threw a lot of kicks. So when Obi-Wan cut his lightsaber in half and kicked him down, which that must have felt great for Obi-Wan, but when he only has a single blade, you see him get more intense, and he amps up his game by 100, and he goes rough by swinging hard. It's like every time he gets hit, he rages out. Qui-Gon knocks him down, and he immediately kicks him back, so I thought that was cool to see. One scene in particular I liked was when Darth Maul and Qui-Gon were separated by the force field doors, and the music goes from Duel of Fates to tense yet mystical. We see Maul being impatient and wanting to keep fighting, and Qui-Gon meditating. It was just so cool, and it shows you how much of a master Qui-Gon is. Also, I think the setup and the way it was edited intertwined with other events in the movie made the battle much more cinematic and interesting. I'll get more on that later with another fight that did that, but I just want you to know this fight was perfect. Number 3, Mace Windu versus Chancellor Palpatine, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith.
It's treason, then.
This was a short fight, but oh my god did I love it. This fight takes place almost immediately after Jedi Master Kenobi kills General Grievous, a major win for the Republic. Given that the Clone Wars gave rise to Chancellor Palpatine being granted emergency supreme powers from the Senate, the Jedi Council decided that Palpatine was becoming a great threat and should be removed from power if he didn't return his new power back to the Senate. Anakin finds out the truth that Chancellor Palpatine is actually Darth Sidious and warns Jedi Master Windu. Fearing for the safety of the galaxy and the Jedi Order, he assembles a posse of Jedi Masters consisting of Kit Fisto and 2 other unnamed characters to arrest him.
Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?
The Senate will decide your fate.
I am the Senate.
Palpatine easily defeats the first 2 unnamed Jedi, and he engages with Kit Fisto and Windu, and then he kills Kit Fisto, and then Master Windu stands alone. And what's great about this fight is that everybody, and I mean everybody, knew that Palpatine was the Sith Lord from first seeing him in Episode 1. So we were all waiting in epic anticipation for his identity to be compromised, and when it did, and he actually brandished a lightsaber, That defied any and all expectations, and we knew that Master Windu was one of the most powerful Jedi and second to Yoda himself, and he has the unique characteristic of having a totally individual unique purple lightsaber, which is awesome. And we see Windu battle in Attack of the Clones, but seeing his awesome purple lightsaber engage with another lightsaber was awesome. Not only that, but Mace Windu's combat style was so cool and different. It wasn't flashy or like super oriental, but it was heavy and awesomely fluid. Like I said before, Mace finally getting his lightsaber duel was great. Typically, each movie has only one lightsaber battle, but Revenge of the Sith, being that it was supposed to be the last Star Wars movie, had numerous lightsaber fights as an all-out finale to the series, so not giving Samuel L. Jackson a turn behind the blade would be criminal. And this fight actually was the shift in narrative and the point of no return for the prequels, because the result of this fight led rise to Anakin becoming Darth Vader, Order 66, which was the extermination of the Jedis, and the rise of the Empire, so this fight was awesome. Number 2. Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader, Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. Now, this fight scene was awesome and is probably one of the finest examples of a sword fight ever put to screen. This was a total shift and upgrade from the previous lightsaber duel in the first movie. It upped the ante and increased the stakes. So, in this fight, Luke Skywalker prematurely leaves his training from Master Yoda and goes to the Cloud City to face Vader. Vader's waiting for him and set up a trap to capture him so we can send him to the Emperor. Luke goes to the city to pick a fight in order to save Han and Leia, but little does he know he's actually being set up and makes a huge mistake. Vader waits for him in the freezing chamber of the city, and they face off in what can only be described as like a really eerie factory setting. It's awesome to see the lightsabers glowing in the dark as they face each other. The best part about this fight is Luke is absolutely no match or even a threat to Vader. He's just toying with him and testing him. Luke is giving it his all, and Vader's just one hand blocking all of his attacks and pushing him to the ground. And the dialogue between the two is masterful.
You are beaten. It is useless to resist. Don't let yourself be destroyed as Obi-Wan did.
This was such a great fight because it's reminiscent of like older, more chivalrous classical fencing duels, and it's so fun to see how the movie cuts between the two different action sequences and other parts of the film. Not just that, but it's perfectly spaced out so that the cuts don't take away from any important combat scenes. And just when you want more and start to feel like you're missing it, the movie throws you right back into the battle, and it's amazing how the fight stretches and goes from one area to another. Like, it first starts out in that factory setting, like chamber, then it takes you to the bowels of the city, and then a catwalk. And seriously, sword fights are much more awesome on catwalks, and I was never bored with this fight. The music that accompanies it was great and makes the pacing much more epic. It was greatly structured, and it was so cool to see the levels of Vader's patience. At first, he goes from slow and calm so he can humor the fight and toy with Luke to now I'm going to hurl objects at him to show how unrivaled with power I am, to okay, I've had enough. It's time to force a surrender, and let's wrap this up, to ouch, you just hurt me. Now I'm going to chop something off. And then boom, done, the fight's over. And that was so cool. There's something so methodical about when the hero is fighting the villain and he's losing and he knows he's losing and he knows he made a mistake, but he keeps fighting, and then the villain just wants to drag it out to make the good guy suffer and then teach them a lesson. And I love that. And it's always awesome to see lightsabers hit inanimate objects and like smack onto other materials during the sword fight. And that's awesome because who doesn't find it satisfying when a lightsaber cuts through something metal? And this fight was full of that. Number 1, Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader, Star Wars. Surprised? Well, you shouldn't be. I revealed in an earlier video that this is my all-time favorite lightsaber battle, and it's fitting that our first introduction into lightsaber combat set the precedent for the rest of the battles to come. First of all, let's look at the setup. Obi-Wan Kenobi is the former master of Darth Vader, the fallen Jedi who betrayed his kind and turned to the dark side. He's responsible for the extinction of the Jedi Knights in the Old Republic. Obi-Wan and his former apprentice haven't seen each other since their final encounter, which left Vader permanently disfigured and physically crippled, and Obi-Wan traumatized and, more or less depending on how you looked at it, banished into exile. In the first movie, our heroes are trapped on a Death Star and can't escape until the tractor beam is disabled. Obi-Wan heroically volunteers to go into the belly of the beast and the lion's den to turn off the beam and allow our heroes to make their escape and rescue the princess. Vader, sensing the presence of one he hasn't felt in years, decides to head Obi-Wan off in a corridor, blocking the way to the main hangar and the Millennium Falcon.
Obi-Wan is here. The Force is with him.
If you're right, he must not be allowed to escape.
Escape is not his plan. I must face him alone.
If that right there isn't an epic realization that a spectacular fight is about to unfold, then I don't know what to tell you. Kenobi encounters Vader in the hallway with his lightsaber ablaze. The drums pound as Vader advances, and Obi-Wan takes in for the first time the sight of what his old Padawan has become. He ignites his weapon as some powerful words are exchanged, and the fight is on. And I personally believe that this battle is epic. It's former master versus evil student. And Vader is fighting against the man who caused his great suffering, and Obi-Wan is battling against a powerful Dark Lord responsible for the destruction of the Order of the Galaxy's peacekeeping warriors. The way their blades clash just reminds me of medieval romantic knights with their broadswords chivalrously going back and forth and countering and parrying each attack, like two genius chess players conservatively reserving their power for the right moment. And I know a lot of people criticize this fight for being slow-paced and quick, but I really don't care. I remember one friend said he hated this fight, and he claimed that it was really lame only because actor Alec Guinness was frail and old and couldn't perform stunt fighting very well, which actually isn't true. The special effect technology and the props used for the lightsaber in the first movie were really fragile, and the crew members told actors Alec Guinness and David Prowse to take it easy. And I can't remember the source exactly, but I from the top of my head, according to what I read, behind the scenes trivia, Alec Guinness was actually swinging his blades too hard and too fast, much to everyone's surprise, and he broke his blade a few times. So the excuse of the actor being too infirm and elderly is just nonsense. And think of it like this. Darth Vader and Obi-Wan are very much aware of each other's power and ability. They're being cautious and reserved for the right reason. Obi-Wan is playing more defensive, as usual, because this is the first time in years he's engaged with a lightsaber, or even faced an opponent with another lightsaber, and is obviously out of practice. And as far as power and strength go, the edge is with Vader, and he knows that. Vader is cautious and reserved, and he's holding his strength back because this is his old Jedi master. Obi-Wan is more wise with the knowledge of the Force and more technical, and most of the times technical and strategic fighters are much more effective than fighters who rely on their power and strength.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
And his former master defeated him last time and almost destroyed him because he was too arrogant to understand the strategic importance of technical fighting. So he's much wiser now and is fighting accordingly. Each combatant is feeling the other out and testing/gauging the other's ability, which is combat brilliance. And coming from someone who practices martial arts, let me tell you that this happens all the time, especially between two very skilled opponents. That's why when you see two champion boxers in the ring, they hide behind the jab, and most of the fight, they just wait for an opportunity to pounce. Or when you watch two Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts roll, it's mostly them standing up and fighting for grips and repulsing takedown attempts. Typically, when their opponent makes a mistake or leaves themselves vulnerable, that's when the split-second attack happens. And much like this moment in the fight right now that I'm going to show you. Vader gave Kenobi an opportunity to go on the offensive, which forced Vader to temporarily retreat and recover. I'm pretty sure the filmmakers didn't really have all this in mind, or this wasn't their intention when they were making the fight, but that totally played into and just how genius of the fight was. It just made it work. I know that was really sloppy, but it just made it work, and it just played into how genius the fight was. And this was a massively epic and awesome fight, proving that action doesn't have to be fast or flashy to be effective. And I also want to point out this is just like a fun fact, just for fun. This is the only time in the series where the main lightsaber duel isn't between the main protagonist and the villain, since Obi-Wan's a supporting character. That's something cool I just wanted to mention for fun.
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last.
Well, my fellow Star Wars fans, I hope you had a lot of fun watching this video, because I had a lot of fun making it. Because Star Wars is awesome. You know that. I know that. We all love lightsabers. But anyway, thank you for watching. And like always, comment below. Let me know what you think. If you disagree, which chances are you probably do, let me know. I want to hear it because it's fun looking at the comments. Anyway, before I go, I just want to say I'm putting in the link in the description below a bunch of links to like those behind-the-scenes Star Wars facts or the George Lucas commentary of the birth of the lightsaber. I highly recommend you check it out because it's really fun to look at and it's really cool. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next Unpopular Opinion.